Hello, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. I'm so freaking excited and so happy you all could join us. I'm Virginia, one of the team members behind the Boss Girls, and today we have some amazing ladies joining us. Darcy Donovan, who will be joining us shortly, Izzy from Women Tribe, Miriam Jaffrey, our writer, Trailblaze Tribe, our engineer, Nikki Syke, the chef, and Julie, who is actually my mother, so I'm very excited. How are you all today?
I'm doing great.
Very excited for this space and for all the speakers here.
Perfect. So, thank you all for being here. I'm going to try to keep this at an hour, as I know there are a lot of spaces being held. So, let me introduce ourselves really quick before we get started. Boss Girls is a women-led project with the founders from Pakistan and myself from America. Our goal is to give women and young girls the opportunity to have a life that they want. We want women to choose who to be and not what others choose to see. In Pakistan, it is very, very difficult to go off the path that is chosen for them. And as an athlete myself, there is a lot of gender bias with the pay gap and media coverage. We as a team met through mutual friends, and that is how Boss Girls was started. We will be announcing our mint date very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And our utilities include scholarships for our community. We have partnered with the Million Smiles Foundation to offer workshop, and more info is to be announced. With that being said, let's hear from our guest. How about everyone introduce ourselves? Izzy, why don't you go first?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Izzy. I am from Portugal, and I am the founder and artist of Women Tribe, which is a project dedicated to and inspired by women around the world. We just sold out. Well, we sold out in less than 10 seconds, which was kind of crazy. But I'm really, really happy about that. We had our reveal, which was amazing. I just bought 2 more Women Tribe, which is super weird to buy from my own art, but I feel like I really like the art, so yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. We also have a scholarship, which is very interesting that you guys have it too. I would love to hear what you're going to do with it, how you're going to do that. And yeah, can't wait to hear the other guests here. Thank you.
Thank you, Izzy, and your sellout was so exciting, and your artwork is absolutely beautiful. Trailblaze Tribe, why don't you go next?
Yeah, for sure. And thanks so much for having me. It's very exciting to be here. So hey, everyone. My name is Mylene. I'm currently a 4th-year engineering student from Canada and the creator behind Trailblaze Tribe. So I'm actually a Web 2 founder turned Web 3 founder. So this project is actually inspired by my own journey to date as a woman in engineering and some of the challenges that I faced as well. So Trailblaze Tribe is an 8,000-piece generative artwork collection, and it's created to empower and educate women in STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math. We're still pretty early on. I started this project in January or so, and we haven't launched our roadmap yet, but what people can expect are things like research grants, scholarships as well. So it's super amazing to see how, there's a lot of projects doing scholarships because I think it's just so important. And yeah, we're also really focused on the UN SDGs and specifically number 4, 5, and 8, which are focused on gender equity, quality education, and decent work and economic growth, which I thought was important to point out today because it is International Women's Day. So love what's happening in this space and all the empowerment initiatives going on.
That was beautiful, and we absolutely love you, Trailblaze Tribe. Like, awesome. We met her in a space one day and we connected. We have similar mindsets with our project, and she's so wonderful. So I'm so happy you could join us today. Nikki, why don't you go ahead?
Oh, hi. Hi, my name is Nicole, but people call me Nikki. I actually am a multidisciplinary artist. I do a whole bunch of things. 3D to graffiti to sculpting. So my graffiti name is actually Sice. So yeah, that just ended up being my name. So Nikki Sice is my name, and my artist name at least. And so I am now a chef by night. By day, I am project managing and I'm the co-founder of Valkyrie Untold. And I am hoping to move full time into Web3 pretty soon to just, it's going to take a leap of faith, but I'm hoping to get that nudge from somebody to help me, just like that little calling to just jump on over into the space full on. But right now I'm just a part of a DAO as well called the Pizza DAO for Rare Pizza. So I'm a DAO spinner for them as well, and we help basically feed the world through pizza and through NFTs. So just using NFTs for good and being a project manager is something that I've done for multiple projects and I've been successful. So I just hope that I can continue in this space that way.
Absolutely. Your story's so cool, and I love that you've worked on like DAOs and projects. Like, that's so awesome to hear. Miriam, why don't you go next?
Yeah, for sure. So, first of all, I just like to tell everyone that I'm super excited to join the space and to meet such passionate young women. And other than that, my name is Mariam. I'm a writer, or you can say a poet. And I work as a data analyst. So I work basically with marketing and business analytics at my day job. And then when I get free from all of that, I'm usually writing poetry, sharing it on my page. I've been slacking in that department lately, but other than that, I'm always writing. I'm always writing stories, writing poetry, and I believe that poetry is something that gave me the power to, be who I am and to discover my truth. And I feel like it just me writing poetry and people, relating to it just gives everyone else a voice as well, to those who cannot express it in the way that I do. That's me.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy to have a writer in the space today. We haven't had that yet, so it's super exciting. And
Thank you.
My mother, who's actually behind my personal profile. Why don't you go ahead?
GM and GN, everyone. My name is Julie. I'm Virginia's mom. Happy International Women's Day to all of you. I've been in the crypto space since about 2013. I took a hiatus for the 2018. I kind of did the whole up and down. My first experience was buying crypto through a red phone in a drugstore. And I got back into the space probably a year and a half ago, maybe. I had just kind of been sitting in the background. Then I started hearing about things coming on. And that's when I kind of brought Virginia into it more. I had gotten her into it when she was little, just so she could have a wallet and learn to transfer and what it was and all those kind of things. But when the bear market came, we kind of all disappeared for a while. I regret that. I wish I had stayed in and continued to build, but there were other things going on in our household with my father. My parents are elderly, so crypto didn't take a priority over that.
Thank you, Mother. I'm so happy and so proud to have you and brought me into this space. With that being said, that was perfect from everyone. Hopefully Darcy will join us soon. Now I have some questions for you all. This is an open conversation, so just speak, raise your hand, and we will get to you. Open combo. So my first question is, how did you begin? Who inspired? Kind of what opened the door? And open mic, anyone can speak.
I guess I can get started, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess for me, like being newer to this space, I think the main draw for me into this space was just the fact that NFTs are this really cool intersection of like art, technology, social impact. I think for me, like starting off in the Web 2 space and like building in there, I've noticed that the culture is a lot different in a sense that like people work more in silos and, it's just a very different environment in terms of building community and sort of trying to do social good with like just Web 2 companies and things like that. So after, going through a run with my last startup and kind of failing in that sense, I started to reflect on like what I really enjoyed about the things that I've done in the past. So I've done a lot of like women's empowerment stuff in the past for women in STEAM specifically. And so like now that I'm kind of wrapping up my degree, like when I first heard about Web3 and like NFTs, it honestly blew over my head at first. But the more that I dug into it and kind of saw other woman-led projects, it really inspired me to take the plunge and kind of go into this space myself. So I didn't even start off as like a collector or anything. I kind of just started off as someone who was super curious. And so I just decided to jump in. And here I am now, I guess, just continuing to learn along the way.
That's awesome. Izzy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question, if that's all right, to Trailblaze Tribe.
Absolutely.
Oh, nice. So, hey guys, or hey girl. I noticed your collection doesn't feature eyes, and I found that was super interesting because in the Women Tribe collection, we have no eyes. It's just a reminder for people to follow their intuition, not to just listen to everyone, whether it's a family member or friend. So I would love to know if you guys had an idea behind the absence of eyes, or if it's just because. Does it have any concept behind it?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. And we do have like a thread on the artwork as well. It's kind of funny because like I don't really consider myself an artist, but I do always like creating. So I am the artist behind this project. And for me, when I created the artwork, I think I really wanted to place more of an emphasis on the STEAM elements. So like through the each Trailblaze's hair or their crowns, I really wanted to emphasize the STEAM elements. And so by removing the eyes in that sense, I feel like it places a greater focus on those elements and sort of brings it out a little bit more. And I think kind of similar to what you said, Izzy, a lot of it is focused on the fact that like you don't always know what path you have moving forward, but women have the intuition in the space to know what's best for them. And so a lot of it is kind of symbolic in that sense as well. So it's really interesting, I think, the minimalism of that, there's like beauty in that in itself. So that's kind of, I guess, the thought process or ideology behind it. But thanks so much for asking.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for replying. I love that.
Izzy, if I may ask, how did you kind of get into Web3? What was your introduction?
Oh, it's a very long story. I don't want to bore you guys. Basically, in 2019, I found out I had to go under medical intervention because I had a problem in my heart. So that kept me from doing pretty much anything. So I just stayed at home in my computer. I found out about the crypto world. I made some money with it. So that was really exciting because it was such an unknown world to me, but a very exciting one. And that eventually led me to the NFT community, which was a space that I completely fell in love with as soon as I saw it. It was a great way of just doing what I love to do, whether it's art or music, because the Women Tribe collection does feature music, while also doing something towards community and the world, So, yeah, that's basically how I started.
Oh, that's so interesting. I love that. Miriam, how did you get into writing? What kind of opened the door for you?
Well, I think I've always been a writer. I mean, I remember like I was around 5 or 6 when, I wrote my first story. And it was a hilarious story. But I feel like getting into engineering school and like 1 week into engineering school, I knew that this wasn't the place for me. But by then it was like too late to back out. And there was a lot of peer pressure involved in it as well. So I had to continue. And I felt like every day I was losing my voice. So one day I decided to, open my Instagram and decided to, start posting things online. So the writing was always happening in the background, but to share it with everyone around the world. So one day I just decided to, start my Instagram page. And that's when I think I really got into it, because that was when I realized that, okay, I'm doing something meaningful with what I'm doing. And before that, it was just something that I did to, find an outlet for myself. I just guess it was just a really hard, traumatic sort of time for me to, where I needed an outlet to find my voice. And that's what got me into writing.
It's
Awesome.
yeah,
I think Virginia got drugged.
yeah. I was rugged for a moment, but that's such a beautiful story. I love that you used writing as kind of your outlet to express your voice. It's incredible. Nikki, how did you get into this space? And also, you're a chef, so how did that start as well? Nick.
I think she's rugged.
Oh no.
Yeah, but one thing, Mariam, I love your story and I love your poetry. I read it a lot and I quite much resonate with it. So I love your poetry. Keep doing that.
Thank you so much. I know I've been slacking on, posting it all online, but definitely going to, get back to it as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's okay. I scroll down and I read your old poetry and then I reshare that. It's so good.
I'm not gonna lie, it's just making my heart so happy right now. Really, really happy. You just made my day.
Awesome. I absolutely love that. Well then I'll move on to my second question. What are some of the hardships you faced as a woman in your profession?
Hardships? Well, I think that we all get our share of them. And I would say one of the more difficult things that I went through was probably being unprepared for some things in life. And I ended up divorcing my husband, Virginia's father, when my youngest daughter was 15 months old, and kind of had to reassess everything and what I was doing. And I had been working in ultrasound, and I decided that I was just going to raise my girls and I was going to do it differently. And I wanted them to be prepared for life. And I kind of started, I didn't want to blame anyone for where I was, because my parents, every parent, I believe, unless there's a mental illness and they can't help it, I believe that all parents do the best they can at the time with what they have to work with. And so I wasn't necessarily prepared relationship wise or, a lot of things. And I thought, I could remember sitting in school and being so bored and wondering what was going on, I thought this just doesn't work, and I thought about it a lot. And then when I divorced, I thought, I can't blame anyone. I'm going to go back to that. And I started kind of looking at personal development and realizing how important personal development was, and that it's a shame that it's not taught in schools, because I think if it were taught in schools, that women would have a completely different perspective on their lives. And they might, I told my girls when they were little that you're only young once. You don't need to try to be so grown up as a little one, because if you look at the human lifespan, you only have about 15 years where you're really a kid. But those are oftentimes between your 15 and your early 20s are the best years of your life. You're the youngest, you're the most vital. Your brain is expanding so much, you can intake so much information. But if you don't have personal development, it's really difficult to put all that together while you're maturing. So, am I on track here? So I decided when I decided to I had the advantage of not having to go to work. I was able to move home with my parents, and they helped. We all kind of raised the girls, and I took them out of school, and I started looking at what their talents were and what they were most gifted at. And can I tell on you? Virginia, I realized when she was I took them out when she was in third grade, and Isabella was in first grade. And I realized that Virginia was dyslexic, but they had not told her that in school. And I didn't want them pointing out that she had a quote deficit, because she was also incredibly gifted geometrically. So I thought, well, I'm not even going to ever tell her. And so she's just had to work with that. And she was very gifted in a lot of things. And so I put her in things that I thought would expand her gifts and let her find her way in kind of like a self-directed education. I think I'm probably going off. I have a lot of things here, so I'm just going to let someone else talk.
No, you're not. Actually, you're not. And I just wanted to add, like, you raise your daughter so well. Like, I have been in contact with Virginia, and she knows everything. And I get like surprised, like, how do you know that? How is that even possible? You're a dancer. You know Web3. You don't even have a degree. So, hats off to you, Julie. Hats off.
I would like to say one other thing. I realized, I was in college. I did study abroad, and I have a degree in French. And I studied a lot of things, but I realized that the job base, unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or in tech, you have a specific field that you're going into. I totally believe in education for those things. Like, go get the best mentor and the best education you can in those. But for general college, which is where most students end up, it becomes a lot of debt, and the debt load is very high and that's something that's wrong in our system. And I just don't agree that if you don't know what you're going to do specifically, I don't think you should take on that debt burden.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Amen.
Yeah, can I just add that, Julie, this is like the best. I feel like if I knew this like 6 years back when I went into engineering school due to a lot of peer pressure, and if I had known back then, I think my life would have been so different. I mean, no regrets. I love where I am, but this is so inspiring, and I wish like so many other parents would, follow you and the way you have taken this to another level. This is parenting to another level. This is superb.
Thank you. That's very sweet. And if anything I say has impact on you in a positive way, that makes me really happy, because I certainly didn't know exactly what I was doing. I just knew that I kind of followed my heart and my gut, and I looked at what was going on around me and assessed the situation from a different perspective.
Thank you, Mom. That was really sweet. I appreciate that. Does anyone else want to go on the what are some hardships you faced as a woman? Anyone's open to talk.
I will go in just a minute if you give me just a second. I'm like, right. I am also a mom, guys. So I am dropping my daughter off at pre-K because they do this half a day thing in my state. So she goes in at 11:30. So yeah, I'm about to drop her off right now. But if you give me a minute, I can I'll speak.
Absolutely. Get all the time in the world. I'm so happy to have so many mothers in this space. I think it's important because, we're raising the next generation. And especially on International Women's Day, they're raising the next generation of women. It's important. So you do what you need to do, of course. Izzy, Trailblaze, or Miriam, if you want to answer that question, go ahead. Trailblaze.
Yeah, sure. So I think for me, I think the biggest challenge in STEAM in general, but I guess just in any space really it can happen, is just, the fact that I feel like competition is a big thing when it comes to, women trying to make it in different spaces. I think that was one of the main things that kind of drew me away from Web 2 and brought me into Web 3, is because I find that the culture here is a lot more inclusive. A lot of people are so willing to help each other. And I think that's so refreshing and different to see. I think it definitely helps overcome some of those hardships and things like that, because the more that we work together and the more that we try to uplift each other, I think amazing things can happen. And so I think, the biggest hardship for me as a woman in STEM or STEAM has just been trying to overcome some of those biases, trying to almost maintain tunnel vision in a way and sort of stay focused on what my goals are and things like that, while also trying to uplift people along the way. Because, there's always going to be people who try to bring you down. There's always going to be people who don't believe in you. So just kind of reframing my mindset, I think, has been the biggest thing for me, of trying to see the path forward and just stay focused on the type of change that I want to see in the world. I think that's my 2 cents there.
I agree with that completely. The culture in this space is completely different from Web 2 mindset. And you can see even this year from last year, projects are more positive impact, uplifting, moving forward, which is really good because we're building from the ground up. So it's important that, we uplift each other, because
there's going to be a new wave of people. And I think that kind of starts today because International Women's Day, there's so much going on. I think a lot of people's eyes will see what we're actually doing. It's not just games in this space. It's not just NFTs. Like, we're building each other up. So I agree with that completely.
I'm ready, guys, whenever you guys are.
Go ahead.
So I have been a chef for the past 12 years, probably 12 plus years. I've worked in a number of fine dining restaurants with a number of really good chefs. But you know, in my field, I think the reality of the situation is that most chefs are men, and you know, it's funny because, you know, back in the day, traditional roles would say that women was always up in the kitchen, you know what I mean? But when you go professionally and you go for a career, it's total opposite. There's not that many women. I have butted my heads with a number of bullheaded chefs. And I think I had a come to moment when I realized that this was my first, like, not my first hardship, but I've had quite a few, but I've had different aspects of the hardships. I've had the woman on woman hardship, and then I have had run-ins with women and when, like, you know, the woman and man kind of headbutt. The first incident where I kind of opened my eyes to to some hardships is my first ever kitchen job. I was working the cold side. And the sous chef that was a part of the restaurant that I was in, she was another female. She was the only female in the kitchen at the time until I came along. Now, when I came along, there was this thing that there could only be one queen in the jungle. You know, there can only be one queen, in the house. And she just felt like a need to exert, because she was special for so long. And then I came along and it was just like, I felt like that she needed kind of like, some attention, I guess. And I was taking it away from her because the chef was always having to correct me on things. And he was like, I'm going to mold you into the way that, I'd like to see people in the kitchen and things of that sort. And she didn't like that too much. And so I think later on I ended up crying because she was my supervisor as well. So she ended up yelling at me for something. And then I was just like, back and ran to the bathroom and started crying, came back out, sucked it up, and then went back to work. And that's just like kind of how it is in the industry as well. But I've also had had run-ins with men who are majority of the time this happens with men. But I find that the women are like that in our industry because, they have to be they have to be strong and they have to be like, no bullshit and everything. Because if you don't put your foot down, like, some of these chefs will walk all over you and they will continue to walk all over you. And literally they want to hear just a yes chef from you. They don't want to hear all the back talk. They don't want to hear that you got, your period going on and that you got this going on or that you got babies at home. They don't really care. And that's the crazy part, that it's just toxic. I think that the hospitality industry is very toxic towards women, and that there could be a woman in the kitchen that has a brilliant mind, and if there is a man in the kitchen that kind of has that is on par or close to par with that woman, they'll choose the man. And I've seen it happen multiple times. It's not uncommon, especially in the hospitality industry. So when I see female chefs come by my restaurant, best believe I give them an extra pastry. I come to their table. I serve them table side. I'm telling you, I go all out for them. And especially if I see women of color at these tables. And then I literally cried the first time I saw a Mexican pastry chef show up into my restaurant. I can count on my hands the number of Latina chefs there are that are actual chefs, not cooks, not prep cooks, not the dishwasher. Like, I'm talking about chefs that's getting paid salary. The chef of that restaurant is actually knowing that woman's worth. And that is one thing that I've had to learn as a woman in the hospitality space, is to know your worth, because they will definitely pay you pennies if you don't say something. They will definitely pay you pennies because, and then they'll turn around. I'm a pastry chef. A lot of women tend to go towards the pastry route. And I'm telling you for sure, they will definitely pay you as a pastry chef $40,000, but then turn around and pay a sous chef on the hot side $60,000. And then you're wondering why. And that's because you didn't speak up, because definitely you can definitely walk out. Like, some people don't think that they can't. Some people think that, oh, well, I need this. Well, guess what, honey bun? There's a whole bunch of other pastry chef jobs out there, and you don't need to settle for this place just because you think the chef is good. There's no need to, bow down to this chef just because. Know your worth. And if you think you're worth more, I think, and this goes across the board to any job. If you know that you got it like that, and then some other guy comes along and says, it's like, well, I see that you need a little bit of, a little tidying up here and here, and that's not true. Don't fall for the BS. They just don't want to pay you what you're worth. But you got to know it for yourself. That's what I've learned, is that to not be paid pennies, and not to get myself overworked, because they will definitely put you on salary in the hospitality industry, and you'll work for 12 hours plus and then get this crappy pay. So I don't know if that extends across other industries, but I know for sure it happens in the hospitality industry.
Yep, it does definitely go into at least athletic industry as well. There is a huge pay gap between women and men. It's an unbelievable amount. Like in the NBA and the WNBA, I think females were paid like $70,000 and the men were paid $1 point something million. And it's like, that's disgusting. They're playing the same sports, female, male, but that's disgusting that it's that large of a pay gap. So it definitely does carry over into the athletic industry as well, even ballet as well. They will give men 100% scholarships and females will get 25. Like, if it's, maybe, but almost every guy you can count on being on a full scholarship, full ride. And it's kind of like, but there may be that one girl who's working 10 times harder than the other guy who may not even dance at the end of the day. So that does carry over. But moving forward, my next question is, what has kept you motivated during hard times? Like, when you face a difficulty, what is kind of the motivation that allows you to keep going? And again, open floor.
My children.
I love that.
I'm gonna be straight up. My children. When I think about cursing that person out at work, I think I need to have this job so that I can so that I can put food on the table and bring them the things that they need and they want. And if I just fly off the handle off of this person, I might not have my job at the end of the day. It's big. I have to think about it's bigger than me sometimes. And that's what I've learned as a mother, that it's bigger than me. That when I want to do something that I normally would have done without kids, now that I have kids, I just can't go off and do things like I used to. I have to move a little different. So
Izzy and then Miriam.
Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to go because I have another space to attend to. But I loved being here. Thank you so much for inviting me. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Love you, Izzy. Oh my gosh, you're amazing.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much
Thank you for
Nikki.
joining.
Of course, thank you, Kushu. Thank you to everyone. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Thank you, Izzy. We'll speak to you later. Miriam, go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, I feel like one thing that really motivates me and keeps me going, especially, when someone, sends me a DM or, shares something that I've written and they tell me that it has, helped them move in their own life, move forward in their own life. And I remember like one time, there was this guy who texted me and he told me that I was just there to, right about to cross the line. And he said that I came across one of your poems, and it was about hope. And he said that I stopped completely, and I just froze and I just stood and I kept reading it over and over again until that thought of crossing the line completely vanished from my mind. And I think that was one thing that inspired me a lot. And the other thing would be I have a best friend. Her name's Zaruna, and she is someone who absolutely, she is my rock, and she motivates me into doing all sort of things whenever I feel like giving up. She's the one who keeps me on my toes all the time. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that you have that connection with the people who read your writing and they're able to reach out. That's awesome. And also, like, your friend, that's nice to have that support. Like, individual support with the close family and friends is always nice to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what I'd do without my best friend and my siblings, to be honest. I feel like they are absolutely everything to me. And I am who I am because of myself, but also there's a big role that they play in my life. So there's that.
I bet. That makes so much sense. I have a younger sister, and she's like everything to me. We support each other. We're very different, but with that, both of us can uplift each other in different ways, which is awesome. So I completely understand that. My next question for everyone is, do you have a fun, memorable moment in anything you've done in the past? May it pertain to your job or profession, or maybe something else? Again, open floor. Anyone's able to speak.
I think for me, like, thinking back to when I first dipped my foot into entrepreneurship back in 2018, I used to run a lot of workshops and things like that for high school women in STEM. And I remember, back when we had a lot of in-person events and stuff like that, there was this one girl who came up to me after a workshop, and she was telling me about how, after hearing the workshop and everything like that, she was inspired to continue pursuing STEM, and she just felt like she was actually heard, and that, some of the concerns or doubts that she had was valid. And I think like moments like that were really special to me, because even when you're tired or like you want to give up, it's things like that you really remember, and it's things like that mean the most, because it really shows like the impact of your work and things like that. So I think that was like probably one of my favorite moments in just like my journey so far.
That's so sweet. Like, yeah, that's awesome to hear. It's always fulfilling and such a memorable moment when someone was like appreciative of what you've done, like you've inspired them, probably motivated them, and helped them move on. Miriam, go ahead.
Yeah, first, so a moment, I feel like I'd like to mention two moments here, because one moment was when one of my poems got viral, and I felt like that was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I think the second moment, which actually happened first in my life, was I think I was around 5 or 6, and I made my first ever sale. I cut these paper designs. They weren't even it wasn't even actually a design, and I just sold it and I made money out of it. And that's where I felt like I could do something with my life, and I felt like that was the moment that ultimately shaped who I was gonna be and who I am right now. So yeah.
That's awesome. Like, allowing that like to shape you is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Nikki, do you have a fun, memorable moment?
I have a few moments. Like, I also have a cake business outside of the restaurant, so being able to make different cakes. When someone gives me maybe like a prompt or like to give me like an inspiration photo of something that they've been wanting to get, and they haven't found anybody that has been able to do it. I'm pretty affordable, I guess, as it goes for depending on what kind of thing you want going on. But yeah, I can sculpt cakes and make different different designs, because I'm also a sculptor as well. So it comes easy to sculpt a cake. And yeah, like I've been able to do some things that people, really want. Like if their son wants like a Spider-Man cake or, Pikachu cake or Minecraft cake, like every time someone comes up with a new cake, I get to add it to my portfolio. Is just another, another thing that I, get to do. I like the challenges of like people giving me different characters and stuff. So having to model them, I get to have a little bit of art fun with that while decorating the cake. So yeah, that's like a happy moment that I have with my career.
That's awesome. Like that, you're bringing a smile to someone's day when they are able to see what you've curated out of their imagination. Like that's awesome. And especially it's a cake too, so it's going to taste wonderful as well. I love that.
It's crazy that it'll like literally be eaten in like 2 minutes or less. And it's like you've spent hours and hours on this cake. I mean, like think about a wedding cake. Like you've spent hours and hours doing tiers and doing all these delicate designs and everything. And it literally is eaten within like a minute. It's sliced and eaten and it's gone. And it's like, there's nothing to show for it. It's just like besides like, some cake scraps on the plate if you leave those.
At least they enjoyed it. It's definitely better to have no cake left at all than a whole cake and with one little bite gone.
My dad doesn't actually, it's weird. He doesn't like icing. So I always have to do like English kind of cakes for him. So it works out. There's a cake for everybody. I'm telling you.
I love that. There's a cake for everyone. That's awesome. So
yeah, sorry for cutting you, but Nikki, we want a Boswell's cake.
I'll see what I can whip up.
Yeah, and I really want to see a Boswell's cake.
Yes, absolutely. That'd be so cool. So my next question is, where do you guys see yourself in a couple months or years? Kind of what's a life goal you have? And again, open floor.
I see myself hopefully fully in Web3. That's my goal. Like I want to be, I'm not going to lie. I want to be able to have financial security. And I think that, Web3, besides just like investing in NFTs, the tech part is what I am totally behind. And I believe that, regardless of where it goes, the tech always moves forward. The tech is the backbone to all of this. And whether, Web3 goes to shit or if it goes to the moon. I mean, like I said, the tech is always being innovated. And, what is being used right now, there might be a Web 4, who knows, years and years from now. Like who knows what could happen. And I think that, getting in on these projects and getting in this, this ecosystem period can set you up for success. I'm seeing now, literally looking online for like Web3 jobs and careers. And I'm telling you, there's jobs out here for community managers, Discord managers, that are paying 6 figures. So if you were just a regular schmegular person that worked, worked at Foot Locker, and you worked at the mall, or you work at Auntie Anne's Pretzel or whatever you worked at Six Flags during the summer or a lifeguard during the summer, and you came across Web3 and you were like, look, man, you look at Twitch every day, you moderate for Twitch or for YouTube or whatever, and then you find yourself in a Discord and it's the same thing. You're managing community and you're like, why not get paid 6 figures for something you were doing for free? So I just think that like there's opportunity for everybody. Like, like if you're willing to step out there and do that, and like honestly, if I'm gonna be a community manager, if I'm gonna be a project manager, why not get paid six figures to do so? I mean, these projects are dishing out that much money for you to do it. And I think that like if you are early in this space and doing these things already, best believe by the time all these big heads come into the space, you already have 1 or 2 years of experience under your belt in Web3. So then when these people come along, they're going to be like, oh, we want to have somebody that already kind of has a little bit of experience in this, just in case they try to pull out that, oh yeah, you need the minimum of 2 years plus experience to, because you know how they be dropping that in there somewhere, like as if it matters sometimes. It matters sometimes, but like not always, There are people out here that are doing the damn thing. I know a 13-year-old that knows how to program bots and put it in Discord, and he's working with VeeFriends right now. So, and he was definitely working with me like last year in like May. So, don't put it past anybody, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a job for everybody out here, if that's something that you want to look into.
You're totally right. There's so much to offer in this space, and as it grows, there will be more job opportunities, and it's always open. Like, there's a lot of free, like, educational resources about this space too. It's not blocked off. I know there are paid resources that you can like expand upon, but right now there's so much that's free and like at your fingertips. So it's taking this knowledge while you can, because it'll probably lead you very far. This is our future.
Is it people paying for this education for real?
Yeah, there's even a learn and earn. I think this is a Coinbase or CoinMarketCap. They're doing like an learn and earn, where it's like you take a course and they'll pay you in cryptocurrencies. So it's like, yeah, you can even get paid to learn. So,
oh yeah, but Coinbase does that with like just learning, so that you learn the tokens that are going to be on their exchange. It's a marketing move for them, but yeah, they do. They give you like $5 worth of crypto or $5 in that token or something. It's pretty cool.
It's a start, but it'll probably expand.
Yeah, they did it with Sol, I bought into it, so got a little teeny bit of Sol thanks to Coinbase. Going to purchase a Boss Girls NFT thanks to Coinbase.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I was just going to say that I will be inspired by all of you. I look forward to in the next couple of years to seeing all of you succeed in this space, raising one another up, teaching other women how important it is to support one another rather than divide one another. And I look really forward to seeing where you all are. Continue on.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I feel that same way too. It's like there's this whole, and there's a space after this. It's at noon in about 5 minutes that we will pin to the top and that we'll be attending. But it's just a bunch of women-led projects got together, and it started with 3, and then it kind of turned into this mass amount. But anyone who uses the hashtag is a part of it. No one is excluded. Anyone who uses the hashtag and wants to offer, join the space, like everyone's included. No one's excluded. But it'll be after this, and it's just a bunch of women raising each other up in this space and just getting the voice out of, like, look what we're doing. This is what we're doing as women. We're leaders. We're not staying behind. We're leading the space. So I will pin this to the top. And then finally, for everyone, my last question is, what advice would you give to a young girl today on International Women's Day?
For me, an advice that I'd give to young women and young girls would be to, live your truth and don't ever give up on the dreams that you believe in and the goals that you want to reach, because I feel like there's so many other things happening and people make you believe in all the things that cannot happen, so you forget your actual dreams and you take a step back and you feel like your dreams are impossible to reach, which I feel like is a big fat lie, and it's just an illusion that you need to break. And once you break that illusion, you're gonna reach every goal and every point that you ever wanted to reach.
So well said. That was beautiful.
I would say never settle.
Never.
I would
settle.
probably say, don't take failure as, like the end of the road. I think failure actually helps you learn a lot faster and grow faster. So embrace it, fail forward, and fail fast.
Absolutely.
Personal development. Engage in personal development as much as you can. It will, and don't ever stop. It's a never-ending journey, and you will find yourselves exactly where you are right now, moving forward, but continuing to move forward and supporting one another and understanding yourselves better, understanding how to handle situations. It's just a good course for your life, and I think women have been lacking this a lot. A lot of the corporate world where men have had these opportunities, I can tell you, my father was in the corporate world for many years, and he had personal development. He used to teach a lot of the Dale Carnegie classes when he was a younger man, and even though he taught those were never introduced into our home, which was when I reflect back on it. But I think, well, he went to work and he was earning, and he was and responsible for our household, like the finances. But I think what an injustice that didn't come into our whole home, that it was just part of what the corporate world was paying for their like upper staff, so that they could manage and lead the rest of the company. But I think it's so important for everyone to have. And so if you haven't started a journey of personal development, I highly recommend it to everyone.
Thank you, Mom. I agree with that too. Of course, you helped me with personal development, and that's where I am today, learning as much as possible because I believe, knowledge is power. But with that being said, I want to thank all of our speakers for joining us today to celebrate International Women's Day. It was incredible having you all here, and also to all the listeners. Thank you all so very much for joining us. This space wouldn't have been possible without you. We are, to keep, the fun and celebration going, we will be pinning a space to the top that we will be attending. And, you all can join as well with a bunch of other women-led projects in the space. Super exciting, celebrating International Women's Day. This space was recorded and will be posted to our YouTube Thursday or Friday. So if you want to listen back or if you missed anything, you can check it out there. And if you need to reach out, we all have Discords, or you can message us personally through Twitter. And yeah, thank you all so very much for joining, and happy International Women's Day.